For 5 years, I'd built a future, dollar by painstaking dollar. But when my family tried to claim it as their own, they discovered I had a weapon far more potent than money, and I wasn't afraid to use it. For 5 years, every extra dollar went into the house fund. Every missed vacation, every night I stayed in instead of going out with friends, every generic brand I bought at the grocery store, it all went into that high-yield savings account. I watched the number climb with a fierce, possessive pride. It was more than money. It was my future, my independence, my escape hatch from the cramped apartment I'd rented since college. It was the physical manifestation of my hard work. I was just a few $1,000s away from my goal, a 20% down payment on a small condo in a decent neighborhood. I could already smell the fresh paint. That's why when I came home from work to find my mom sitting at my kitchen table, her purse clutched in her lap and a thunderous look on her face, my stomach plummeted. She only ever came over unannounced when she wanted something. Usually it was for my brother Leo. "We need to talk," she said, her voice tight. She gestured to an envelope on the table, my bank statement. My heart hammered against my ribs. I'd made the stupid mistake of leaving it on the counter, and in her mind, my home was just an extension of her own. Privacy was a concept she didn't apply to her children. "You've been snooping through my mail?" I asked, my voice colder than I intended. She waved a dismissive hand. "Don't be dramatic." It was sitting right there. "I'm shocked, honey. Truly, I had no idea you were hoarding this much money." Hoarding? The word felt like a slap. "I'm not hoarding it, Mom. I'm saving for a house." "I told you about this. A house can wait," she declared, as if closing the matter. "Family comes first. Your brother has a brilliant business opportunity." Oh, here we go. Leo's brilliant business opportunities had, over the years, included a gourmet hot dog stand that lasted 2 weeks, an app for rating public restrooms that he paid a developer for and never launched, and an ill-fated attempt at becoming a dropshipper for artisanal alpaca wool socks. Each failure was cushioned by our parents, and occasionally by me. "He wants to start a bespoke coffee roasting company," she continued, her eyes gleaming with vicarious ambition. "He just needs some seed money for the initial equipment and inventory." $50,000, I choked on air. 50, Mom, that's almost half my savings." "Exactly," she said, nodding as if I'd finally understood. "It's perfect. You give him half, he gets his business off the ground, and you'll still have plenty left over. It's an investment in your brother." In the family, the sheer audacity of it left me speechless. She wasn't asking. She was telling me. She saw my name on that bank statement, but she saw her son's dream. My dream didn't even factor into the equation. "No," I said, the word feeling foreign and powerful on my tongue. "Absolutely not. That money is for my future." Her face hardened, the soft maternal lines turning to granite. "Don't be so selfish. After everything we've done for you. Leo is your brother. This is what family does. We support each other." The guilt trip was coming, right on schedule. I'd been on this ride before, but never for such a high price. I looked at her, at the unwavering entitlement in her eyes, and a switch flipped inside me. The years of quiet resentment, of being the responsible one while Leo's every whim was coddled, it all came to a head. I let out a long, slow breath and gave a small, humorless smile. "You know what, Mom? You're right," I said, my sudden change in tone making her blink in confusion. "Family does support family. But you're mistaken about where the money is." I walked past her into my bedroom and went straight to the closet. Behind a row of winter coats bolted to the floor was a small black safe. My mom followed me, her eyes wide with a new greedy curiosity. She probably thought it was filled with cash or heirloom jewelry. I knelt, spun the combination dial with practiced clicks, and pulled the heavy door open. The metallic clunk echoed in the tense silence of the room. I reached inside, past the emergency cash and the envelope with my passport. My fingers closed around a thick, worn manila folder, held together by a frayed rubber band. I pulled it out, stood up, and walked back to the kitchen table. I snapped the rubber band off and spread the contents across the table in front of her. They weren't stock certificates or property deeds. They were papers, dozens of them. Handwritten notes, printed out emails, screenshots of text messages. "You want to talk about family investments?" I said, my voice shaking with a cold, controlled fury. "Fine. Let's start by reviewing the outstanding balance on all the previous investments." My mother stared at the scattered papers as if they were written in a foreign language. Her face, a mask of righteous indignation moments before, was now a canvas of confusion. She picked up a sheet, a printout of a text exchange. "What is this?" she asked, her voice losing its edge. "That," I said, pointing a steady finger at the paper, "is from last year, when you needed $500 for a car repair and swore you'd pay me back on the first of the month. You didn't?" I gestured to another document, a carefully logged entry in a spreadsheet. "And that is the $2,000 I gave Leo to cover his rent 2 years ago when he got fired from the call center. The one he said was a temporary loan." I tapped a third paper, then a fourth. $800 for his coding boot camp that he dropped out of after a week. $300 for a new suit for an interview he blew off. $1,000 to pay off a credit card he maxed out on a weekend trip to Vegas. It's all here. Every single loan. Every single "I'm good for it, I swear." Every single broken promise. The color drained from her face. She dropped the text printout as if it had burned her. This is insane," she stammered. "You're keeping a ledger? On your own family? That's sick." "Is it?" I shot back, the dam of my patience finally breaking. "Is it sicker than watching your son fail upwards his entire life, cushioned by money he didn't earn, while your daughter works 60-hour weeks to scrape a future together? This ledger, as you call it, totals $23,457, with interest, which I haven't bothered to calculate, by the way." The precision of the number silenced her. She just sat there, opening and closing her mouth like a fish. The entitlement was gone, replaced by a wounded, cornered look. But it wasn't a look of remorse. It was the look of someone whose power had just been challenged. Then the anger returned, blazing hot. "This is ridiculous," she spat, grabbing her phone. "We'll see what Leo has to say about this." She furiously stabbed at the screen and put the call on speakerphone. "Hey, Mom, what's up?" Leo's voice, cheerful and oblivious, filled the small kitchen. "Your sister is what's up," she shrieked. "She's refusing to help you." "She's sitting on a pile of money, and she's being incredibly selfish. And she has some crazy list of everything we've ever borrowed." There was a pause on the other end. Then a wheedling, manipulative tone that I knew all too well. "Hey, sis," Leo said, his voice oozing false charm. "Mom says you're being weird about the business loan. Come on, don't keep score. It's family. You know I'm good for it. Just help me out this one time. It's a sure thing." "A sure thing?" I repeated flatly. I looked at the pile of evidence I had spread out on the table, a monument to his failures. My eyes landed on the last and most important document. It was from 18 months ago, for the largest single amount I'd ever given him, $5,000 for his failed alpaca sock venture. I picked it up, the crisp paper feeling heavy and significant in my hand. "The problem, Leo," I said, my voice dangerously calm, "is that you're not good for it. And according to this legally binding promissory note you signed for that last $5,000 I gave you, you went into default 6 months ago." Silence crackled over the speakerphone. The air in the kitchen grew thick and heavy. I could practically hear the gears grinding in Leo's head as he tried to process what I'd just said. My mom just stared at the document in my hand, a single-page, notarized agreement that suddenly looked like a weapon. What are you talking about?" Leo finally stuttered. "That was just a formality. You made me sign that as a joke." "Did it feel like a joke, Leo?" I asked coolly. "When we went to the bank and had it notarized? When I explained that after the half-dozen previous loans, I needed something a little more official to protect my investment? An investment, I might add, that you squandered." "You're really going to hold that over my head?" he whined, his voice rising in panic. "It's $5,000. You have way more than that. Mom said so." "It's not about the money anymore, Leo. It's about the principle," I said, my gaze locked on my mother. She looked pale, horrified. This was not how her intervention was supposed to go. She was supposed to be the matriarch laying down the law, not the spectator at her son's financial execution. "The promissory note had a clause," I continued, speaking clearly so he wouldn't miss a single word. "A default clause. It stated that if you failed to make a single payment within 12 months of the date of signing, you would be considered in default of the loan." I tapped the paper. "We are now at month 18. Not a single cent has been repaid." "So what?" Leo scoffed, a hint of his old arrogance returning. "What are you going to do, sue me?" "Don't be ridiculous." A slow, icy smile spread across my face. "Oh, I don't have to sue you, Leo." That's the beautiful part. You see, the default clause had another condition attached. A collateral condition. My mom's eyes widened. "Collateral?" she whispered. "What collateral?" Leo demanded over the phone. "I didn't have any collateral." "You did," I said softly. "You just didn't think it was worth anything." but I knew its value. You were so desperate for the money that day you told me I could have anything, that you'd sign anything. So I took you at your word. I reached back into the open safe and pulled out a second, much smaller item. It was an old, beat-up MP3 player, a relic from the mid-2000s. It had a cheap plastic casing and a faded sticker of a skateboard on the back. It looked like worthless junk. My mom didn't recognize it. But Leo went dead silent on the phone. "This was Dad's," I said, my voice thick with emotion for the first time. "Before he passed away, he spent months loading it with all his favorite music. He recorded voice notes on it for us, little stories from his childhood, advice he wanted to give us as we got older. He gave it to you a week before he died, Leo. He told you to cherish it. You wouldn't," Leo breathed, his voice cracking. The bravado was completely gone, replaced by pure, unadulterated fear. "According to the legally binding document you signed," I said, holding up the promissory note with one hand and the MP3 player with the other, "in the event of a default, ownership of the collateral, one Zune MP3 player, serial number XJ45B7, transfers to me free and clear. I don't have to sue you. It's already mine." I walked over to the trash can, the MP3 player held delicately between my thumb and forefinger, and as the legal owner, I can do whatever I want with it. A strangled sob came through the phone. "No, please don't!" Leo's voice was a ragged whisper, stripped of all its usual confidence. "Don't do that!" "I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry." My mother lunged forward, her hands outstretched, not for the MP3 player, but for my arm. "Stop it!" she hissed, her face a mess of tears and fury. "Are you insane? That was your father's. How could you be so cruel?" I didn't flinch. I pulled my arm back and looked her dead in the eye. "I'm cruel?" I asked, my voice dangerously low. "You came into my home, went through my private mail, and demanded I hand over half of my life's savings, the future I have worked myself to the bone for, so he could squander it on another failed fantasy. You saw my dream as nothing more than a bank account for his whims. You talk about Dad? He would be ashamed. Ashamed that Leo valued his last gift so little he'd sign it away for $5,000. And he'd be ashamed that you taught him that was okay." Every word was a hammer blow, and I could see them landing. My mother recoiled as if I'd physically struck her. Leo was just making incoherent begging sounds over the phone. I hung up on him, the silence in the room suddenly deafening. I placed the MP3 player gently on the table, far from the trash can. I wasn't a monster. I never had any intention of destroying it. But they needed to understand the stakes. They needed to see what they were asking me to sacrifice. "Here are the new terms of our family arrangement," I said, my voice as steady as steel. "The bank of me is permanently closed. There will be no $50,000 investment. There will be no more loans, ever. You will never come to my home unannounced again, and you will never touch my mail." I turned to the papers on the table. "As for the existing debt of $23,000, Leo will begin paying me back. $100 a month. Every month. It will take him nearly 20 years, but he will pay it back. And you, I looked at my mom, will not give him a dime to do it. He will get a job, a real one, and he will learn responsibility. She stared at me, speechless. All the fight had gone out of her. She just looked tired and defeated. "And Dad's MP3 player," I said, picking it up and holding it with the reverence it deserved. "I'm keeping it. It's legally mine now, but I'll consider it in safekeeping. It will stay in my safe, where it won't be used as collateral for a get-rich-quick scheme. When Leo has paid back every single dollar he owes me, and when he can demonstrate that he understands the value of something beyond money, we can discuss him earning the right to listen to his father's voice again. Until then, it stays with me. I didn't wait for a response. I calmly gathered up all my papers, placed them in the MP3 player back in the safe, spun the dial, and locked it tight. The final decisive click echoed in the kitchen. When I turned around, my mother was gone. The next few months were quiet. Leo sent the first $100 payment via bank transfer with no comment, then the next. My mother called once, her voice stilted and formal, to ask about my work. She didn't mention money. The dynamic had shattered, and in its place was a fragile, respectful distance. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. 3 weeks ago, I signed the final papers. Today, I'm standing in the living room of my own condo. It's small, but it's mine. The walls are still bare, and the whole place smells of fresh paint, exactly as I'd imagined. I unpacked one last box, the one containing my safe. I opened it, took out the old MP3 player, and found the worn earbuds. I pressed play. It wasn't a song that came on. It was my dad's voice, a recording I hadn't heard in years. "Hey, kiddo," it crackled. "Just wanted to say, always stand up for yourself. You're stronger than you think." Tears streamed down my face, but for the first time in a long time, they weren't tears of frustration. They were tears of relief.